I didn't know losing an online debate was important. Well, there is something I like to do when I argue. Dear black people,
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 M's in my bank account. Yeah, 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 in my bank account. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
to my awesome brothers and my lovely sisters, as I've constantly tried to remind you guys, it is the job of the black people in this world, this country, this community, to perpetuate a certain idea of hope that isn't bogged down with bigotry and nonsense, but with love, positive attitudes, and our constant ability to strive and produce on epic proportions. It goes without saying, in order for you to be a leader, you must also be well versed in the ability of combat, but not with your hands, but with your mind. And in order to get a vast majority of people on your side, you don't need to beat them in order to get them to reason with you. History has proven time and time again, with precision and drive, you can move a mountain. So let's get to work on how we're going to start moving our own personal mountain, which is the debate. There are 5 ways you can argue or debate with someone in a peaceful manner. First and foremost is respect, worthiness, facts, and the comeback. Without respect, the argument or debate is over. You must have it within yourself to know that regardless of the situation or the outcome, you above all else will remain true to who you are. If who you are isn't someone that is built on respect and moral grounds, you really haven't come to peace with yourself. Respect in an argument or debate goes a long way, because not only does it help you drive out negative connotations and stabilize the tone, it gives each person the ability to see each other's arguments in a positive light. Regardless of what you're talking about, if you can't talk about it with respect in your tone and in your heart, you probably have no business talking about it, because you yourself don't even understand the gravity of your situation. Worthiness. This sometimes is very difficult for us to understand as a group of black individuals who feel it's important to let people know we are being heard. As we are constantly finding ourselves at the back half of the race, no matter how fast we are, we can never seem to catch up with our counterparts. While some of us live in this loop and believe that it's a constant negative connotation on us, other people live with it as a chip on their shoulder. You should also take this into perspective when going into an argument. Is this worth your time? As arguing with certain people and having debates with certain people is understandable, but there are a group of people out there who just will not understand what you are trying to convey to them, no matter how respectful or how much energy you put into it. This can cause frustration and escalation of the situation that you probably had no business putting any energy into in the first place. For example, it'd be ridiculous for you to go to a Trump rally and think you're going to talk about Hillary and get people to understand you. Things like this doesn't dictate your strength or your weakness, but it is important to understand if it's worth your time, because this person's mind has already been made up. It's better to wait until you're on common grounds. You must pick and choose your battles, and understanding how to pick and choose your battle is an easy way to guarantee that you'll actually win, and more importantly, get that person to realize where you're coming from. Without facts in your argument is dead. For you to go out in any portion and talk about anything that you cannot 100% prove is immediately breaking the first rule of learning how to argue and debate: respect. Because if you yourself are willing to spew nonsense that you don't readily understand, it is a show of how weak your mental fortitude is, and also how little respect you have for yourself and the person you're debating against. Vice versa, arguing with someone who isn't using facts may seem like a hopeless battle and may lead you to revert back to rule number 2, but most people do research just to validate their own suggestions. The moment that you can build an argument against yourself and not lose is the telltale sign that you can go out and argue with anyone and not lose. Use facts to your advantage. That is the easiest way to guarantee a victory. Incorporate and let people know how things go. For example, statistically speaking, white people are killed way more than black people are, but when you adjust that number for demographic and size population, there is a 6-to-1 difference of how officers treat black people versus white people. So if you don't use the correct context context, in order for you to prove that statement, it is meaningless because you both are right, but you both are arguing from a different perspective. It's with proper facts you can avoid these little hiccups and help build on your momentum in winning this argument. I can't stress how important it is to keep people focused on the topic at hand. What you'll normally find when someone is losing an argument or is not able to retort, they'll resort to some form of distraction or reflect or even deflecting back onto you. For example, an argument about labeling the Vegas sniper a terrorist. You'll see a lot more people waste energy labeling the white person a terrorist versus trying to figure out why they were able to commit their terrorist act. Another great way to keep people is just to always insist on it. They're taking it in, they're disrespecting our nation's flag and our veterans. You can simply make the argument that an individual who is kneeling because they are trying to stop police brutality or bring an idea of change about police brutality going on in the minority community. And if they still insist on pushing that narrative about the flag and the disrespect to veterans, you can simply ask them, are they not concerned about what the athlete is protesting so you can stop talking about it? Remember, people who argue with you aren't necessarily arguing to disprove your point, they're arguing to be relevant in your point. In other words, if it's not about them, they're not interested. This is where you can have a little bit of fun. The comeback. The comeback, especially for black people, is considered to be one of our most powerful tools. It is one of our most powerful tools, not in the sense that it brings us power, but our delivery, our charm, our charisma, our wit, our intelligence, and our sheer ability to rally a cry gives us the ability to make some of the greatest comebacks known to man. I don't care what race you're from, what socioeconomic status you are living in, you have never been in a situation where you got to see two black people roast one another. It is an art that has been built and installed in us from a young age, developed in the household between siblings, enhanced in the hallways and lunchrooms of junior high and high school, perfected and mastered amongst friends. The ability for you to roast somebody is naturally built into our DNA. Your ability to master this technique may be the thing that tips the argument in your favor and gets you the final word that requires that person to yield to your awesomeness. Trying to define a comeback is difficult, so it's better for you to just use this as an example. This is a real life argument I had with someone on Facebook. This person did not let up, and I commend them for keeping to the 5 structures of the argument. Even though their facts weren't accurate, I could tell this person was growing frustrated with arguing with me because they weren't gaining any grounds, because I had facts and they had suggestions. The suggestion was valid though. They pulled a Nevada definition for terrorism, which was stated in the context of the first chapter of the book, that this is a definition that is built on stricter versions of the initial FBI definition. And furthermore, this was the unrevised version of this text. So it really hurt this person's feeling to know that in the very first sentence of the argument that they were placing against me, there was a misspelled word in the definition they provided. It came from a registered state document. This was the comeback that I delivered. I brought them to a level of understanding, because no matter what that person goes through the rest of their life, they have to live with the fact of knowing that they were wrong. And not only were they wrong, they were subjected to truth. And if they refuse to accept it, then they know deep down inside they never believed in what they were arguing with the first time. And if they do choose to accept it, they can now carry on your argument knowing that they've been defeated, but now have a weapon that they can never lose with. So in closing, don't be afraid to step up to the plate. You are more than able and equipped and ready to take on any great debate. So the next time Brent says black on black crime, you have the logistical knowledge and fortitude to say that is a result of close proximity crime, which basically means you will kill people who you live next to. And since black people are more likely to live next to each other, eat next to each other, play with each other, sleep and reproduce with one another, it's only logical that they would also kill one another. Sort of how like white people kill more white people than any other race, because they live within close proximity with each other. Or in the event that Beth has the audacity to say if they listen to police officers, they wouldn't have to fear for their lives. You can tell Beth to politely focus. She has never been pulled over 12 times like Philando Castile was in 1 month, where someone like Brandon has the audacity to say, I don't see color, I just want to love everybody. You can tell Brandon to because he doesn't understand the plight of the black person. By not identifying us, you have only vindicated and proven what you and your forefathers have been trying to do since the beginning of our enslavement in this country, which is take away the ability for us to be identified as human beings on the same playing levels as a white person. By not seeing me, you have indirectly insulted me. So don't let Brandon come to the cookout next year. With these tools, this knowledge, and your ability to follow the 5 steps of an argument, I feel you'll be prepared to talk about any social, economic, or political situation going on within our country. It's important for us to recognize that not everyone who carries a shade of color will support all colors. So let's back ourselves, not only physically, but mentally as well. With love, Hero. P.S. Taking a knee is about black people wanting justice. For police brutality, not a flag.
I love to jump the barrier. So can you spare a penny when my thoughts have been? I'm storming on the corner, about to catch the last train home. I love to jump the barrier. So can you spare a penny when my thoughts have been placed upon the pavement? I'm storming on a corner, chased away by names to catch the last train home. If the streets could talk, I love to jump the barrier. I'll pay